Yes, good morning, all of you. We are starting the chapter Nationalism in Europe, chapter number 1 of history. We have already discussed the chapter, and now we'll just quick recap of the chapter. Chapter start with the image of this. In the first print, in this print, the artist shows the people of Europe and America, men and women of all ages and social classes, marching in a long train offering homage to the Statue of Liberty. As they pass by it, at the time after French Revolution, liberty was imagined as a female figure who held the torch of enlightenment in one hand and the Charter of Rights of Man in the other. In the foregrounds, as you can see, the artist depicted the shattered remains of the symbols of absolutist institutions. In Sorou's idealist vision, the people of the world are grouped as distinct nations, identified through their flags and national costumes. Leading the processions are the states of United States and Switzerland, which were already nation states at that time. France, with its revolutionary tricolor flag, had just reached the statue. As we have already aware about that, France was the first country who got the revolution. The French Revolution inspired other countries of Europe. Its ideas spread to other parts of Europe. But how the features of nation states emerged in Europe in the 19th century. The concept and practices of a modern state with sovereign centralized power developed in Europe. Nation state was supposed to be a state where majority of its citizens shared common identity and history. Now nation began to be personified. That means they were represented as a person with characteristics that identified their nations. And that is mainly female figures were used to portray the nation as we have discussed in the French Revolution. So now we'll start with the French Revolution and the idea of nation. As we are aware that nationalism came with the French Revolution in 1789. France was a full-fledged territorial state in 1789 under the rule of an absolute monarch. As we are aware, we have discussed that in 1789, France became a republic. The political and constitutional changes that came in the wake of the French Revolution led to the transfer of power, sovereignty from the monarchy to a body of French citizens. The revolution proclaimed that it was the people who would constitute the nation and shape its destiny. French revolutions introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity amongst the French people. The idea of la patrie, that means the fatherland, the les citoyens, the citizens, emphasize the nation of a united community enjoying equal rights under a constitution. A new French flag, the tricolor, was chosen to replace the former royal standard, the States General. Remember, States General was elected by the body of active citizens. Who were called active citizens? Those who got right to vote. That is all men above 25 years of age. So a State General was elected by the body of active citizens and renamed the National Assembly. New hinds were composed, oaths taken, all in the name of the nation. A centralized administrative system was put in place and it formulated uniform laws for all citizens within its territory. Internal custom duties and dues were abolished and a uniform system of weights and measures was adopted. Regional dialects were discouraged and French, as it was spoken and written in Paris, became the common language of the nation. The revolutionaries declared that it was a mission and the destiny of the French nation to liberate the people of Europe from despotism. That means the absolute powers of the monarch. That means to help other peoples of Europe to become nations. When this news of events in France reached the different cities of Europe, students and other members of educated middle classes began setting up Jacobin clubs. I think you must be aware about the Jacobin clubs, the clubs of middle class, poor section. And the head of the Jacobin club was Maximilien Robespierre. Their activities and campaigns prepared the way for the French armies which moved into Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, and much of Italy in 1790s. With the outbreak of revolutionary wars, the French armies began to carry the idea of nationalism abroad. And after that, they came under his control, that is Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, which was a return to monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in France, but in the administrative system, he had incorporated revolutionaries' ideas, revolutionary principles, in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. The Civil Code of 1804, usually known as Napoleonic Code, did away with all privileges based on birth, established equality before the law, and secured the right to property. This code was exported to the regions under French control in the Dutch Republic, in Switzerland, in Italy, and Germany. Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system, and freed peasants from serfdom and many dues. In the towns too, guild restrictions were removed, transport and communication systems were improved, peasants, artisans, workers, and new businessmen enjoyed a newfound freedom. Businessmen and small-scale producers of goods began to realize that uniform laws, centralized weights and measures, and a common national currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. However, in the areas conquered, the reactions of the local populations to French rule was mixed. Initially, in many places like Holland and Switzerland, as well as in certain cities like Brussels, Mainz, Milan, Warsaw, the French armies were welcomed as harbingers of liberty. But the initial enthusiasm soon turned to hostility, and it became clear that the new administrative agreements did not go hand in hand with political freedom. It increased taxes, censorship, forced conscription with the French armies required to conquer the rest of Europe. All seem to outweigh the advantages of the administrative changes.